Oxford to Bolton then, that's around 170 miles, I know what you're thinking. Jack, convert that for us, because we all need to get a real idea as to how far you travel just to watch your team not gain a single point on the League One table. Yep, I'll do that for you. That's about 6 hours if there's no traffic all the way down the M6, so a good 7.5 hours for me yesterday. I'll convert it again as well for you. That's around 133 University of Bolton Stadium pitches. You're very, very welcome. And while the players warm up and get themselves on the field, I'll just pop in there with an interesting fact for you about the area of Bolton. Is actually the most affectionate part of the UK. We didn't see too much of that culture yesterday afternoon, but then again, Oxford United fans were calling the area of Bolton an absolute shame. So really, what did you expect? I'll come in there and say that the area of Bolton was actually absolutely lovely for what I saw of it. I've got to be honest, I did only see the car park and the service station. But I've looked at some Google images of the area and it looks an absolutely lovely part of the UK. So I was not part of that minority, I'll just put that out there. A close chance here for Oxford United. It goes out to the left-hand side. It gets swung back in to the penalty area. There it goes, and some poor lad behind me thought it'd gone in. He was already off his feet. He thought we'd scored, and we hadn't. We actually went straight over the bar, but yeah. Don't matter though, because that lad was up screaming and shouting because Oxford United did take the lead. And there we go, all the Oxford United supporters just waving over to the Bolton fans, just, reminding them that we've just scored, because they're not sat in the stadium, so they can't actually see that we've just gone round the goalkeeper and slotted it into an open net. Bolton comes straight forward here. Cameron Brannigan blocks it. They're calling for handball. Of course they are. Nothing comes of it. I am going to show you the next clip of the corner, but spoiler alert, nothing actually happens. Yeah, gets cleared away. Yes, it's true. And then an absolute mix-up at the back. Jack Stevens decides to pick up a back pass from Thornley. 15 minutes later, they finally take the indirect free kick. And then after all that, absolutely nothing happens and Matty Taylor clears it. And that's why you don't. That's what you call the commentator's curse. Even though it's not live, this is actually a pre-recorded voiceover. I've still managed to, calm myself here because Bolton have equalised. They take a very, very good effort from well outside the penalty area. Jack Stevens get down to it, but just not quick enough, and it goes into the bottom left-hand corner. Right, actually, because I'm behind the goal, so it's left to me. But it's 1-1 just before the break. And then I know you're thinking, Jack, break this game down for us. What's going on? I picked up a Bovril at half-time. Just thought I'd show you it. Yeah, it was nice, actually. And Bolton have scored again. Yeah, it's 2-1, and this long journey is really coming back to bite me on the backside here, because a really, really good flick on from a corner that started actually with our corner, and they've now made it 2-1. Happy days. The goalkeeper's up here, Jack Stevens, try and get some sort of equaliser from the game, try and make this journey somewhat worthwhile, and yeah, he has to run back to his goal because that corner was well headed away from that absolute unit of centre-halves that Bolton had this afternoon. They had centre-halves the size of tankers at the back. They were absolutely massive and defended the goal very, very well. I will be standing here right. So you can see the Bolton fans were absolutely desperate to hear the sound of the referee's final whistle. They do hear the referee's final whistle. It finishes 2-1 to Bolton Wanderers. The Oxford United players come over and thank the support. The 814 travelling Oxford United fans, a total attendance of 15,073. So a really, really good atmosphere at the Bolton Wanderers Stadium this afternoon. But it does finish 2-1 to them on the day, and that is Oxford United's first defeat of the season. And Bolton continue their unbeaten run in this division. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Hope you enjoyed that new exciting element to the start of the episode. A new element obviously with the away days, they're back. It was an amazing day, a great atmosphere, even though we lost. And we'll come on now into some more tactical breakdown, my thoughts on the game, the real match reaction, the more traditional match reaction that you see here on the podcast. Don't worry, that'll be not going anywhere, but I just thought I'd just install that really exciting new part of the episode, and hopefully you enjoy that as well and you want to see more of that. If you do, leave a like and subscribe is the best way of doing that. If maybe you're not an Oxford United fan, or if you're a Bolton fan, or maybe you're any League One fan, I'll probably be going to your ground this season, so make sure you leave a like and subscribe and let me know who you support. I probably will be going to your ground this season doing the same sort of thing. I really look forward to doing that because I really, really did enjoy it, even though it was a very, very long journey, as I mentioned, and even though we did lose, the actual experience itself was really, really good. The atmosphere is fantastic. The Bolton fans, the Oxford United fans, it just made a really, really good game. I just thought generally, I thoroughly enjoyed it, really. But first of all, I think I'd just say fair play to Bolton. I don't know if they deserve to take all 3 points. I think they definitely deserve to get something from the game. I saw some people say that we 100% deserve to win. I wouldn't go that far, because I think Bolton really did have their strengths. Thought they looked really, really good going forward. They definitely used those fullbacks really, really well. I know they conceded quite a few goals going into this game, but defensively yesterday, from what we saw, they did look generally very, very solid. So that's really, really interesting. Even though they conceded the goal, I still thought defensively they looked pretty compact. But either way, Oxford United took the lead, as you've seen, and Matty Taylor, really, really good ball over from Sam Winnell, lovely ball over the top. Basically, it looked offside. I haven't looked at it again. I have looked at the goals again, but I haven't looked at it sort of for the definitive answer whether or not it was onside or offside. Either way, the goal stood. He went around the goalkeeper and almost walked into the back of the net. And ironically, that's something that Oxford United have been trying to do throughout the start of this season. And that's actually where Bolton's second goal was really, really interesting, because they actually just took a punt. They took an effort outside the penalty area, took an effort, and it went into the back of the net. And I think that's where Oxford United maybe need to try a few different things. And even though our goal did come from it walking in the back of the net, literally, I think we are sometimes trying to do that. I think Billy Bowden tried to do that on Tuesday. I think Nathan Holland tried to do that today, and he didn't do it on Tuesday because that was his first. He got injured in so definitely, I think he did do that today. Marcus McGuane did do it today as well. I say today being yesterday, but it is sort of the same sort of day. But when and Bolton's goal came from them just taking an effort and just having a go, making an effort and just shooting it towards the goal. And because of the power and because of the really unfortunate bounce in front of the eyes of Jack Stevens, and the power and the pace it had on the ball, Jack Stevens could get there, but not quick enough, and that's where the goal comes from, and that's really, really interesting. Them just taking an effort, having a go, and it hits the back of the net, and that's where that's where their goal came from. And then their second goal came from a really, really annoying, it was actually our corner, dead to their corner, a flick on, and then Doyle, the Ginger Pele as they call him up in Bolton, scores, and it's 2-1. And that, again, is one of those things where I think that, and we had chance in the game, and that's why it was a little bit frustrating, because ultimately they did take their chances and we did have chances, but we didn't take them as best as we could have done, and we had a really, really good chance. Gavin White had an absolute sitter. I won't blame Gavin White, because I love Gavin White as a player. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player, and we're so lucky to have him at Oxford United, and I think he's a great addition to this Oxford United squad. He's been here before. I love Gav. He's a great player, and he offers such importance to the Oxford United team, and I'm a firm believer that as the season goes on, we're going to see more and more quality from Gavin White. But I thought yesterday he normally takes those chances, and we'll come on to the more formation side of it as well, because I think that's sort of where the chance came from, really, him playing at a more central area. And I'll bring the formation up on the screen for you now, but we went with a diamond. We wanted to see a little bit more tactical flexibility from Carl Robinson. I think we were all in agreement that we want to see him do a few different things, and when the opposition may be set up differently, instead of just going with the 4-3-3, which has worked as well. It's got us to 2 playoffs using that formation 2 years running, so there's no reason why we can criticise that formation too much, as it has worked for Oxford. But we want to see that flexibility, and if a team maybe come with us in a different way, can we adapt to that? Can we change our formation to suit the game and try and get something different from the match, if you know what I mean? So that was interesting. We changed to a diamond. I think we saw it before. We saw it against Sunderland on the second game of the season last season. It was Taylor and Derek Osai who was up front in that 2-striker formation. It didn't work, and it was very, very bad. It worked horrifically, and I think that got quickly changed mid-game. But what I would say is the diamond, it suits others. I think it suited others and benefited others well, but it also hindered other people's performances as well. And that's sort of where I'll sort of add on to that point. I think it really suited the likes of Sam Winnell and Matty Taylor, because both of them, with the goal, they linked up and they looked really, really good together, playing together. It worked quite well. You have Matty Taylor, who I do think is slowly maybe losing that edge of pace that he had. Still a very, very good player. Still holds very, very significant importance to his Oxford United team. But he is losing his pace slightly. He can't sprint as fast as he has done, and we have seen him do it in an Oxford shirt. But still, he has got a fair bit of pace. I still think he probably is quicker than Sam Winnell, and a very, very clinical striker. it worked well with the likes of Sam Winner, who is a little bit more physical. He certainly has put some more muscle on. He looks like he can hold at the ball much better than he did last season. And that's, I think, where it worked quite well. Sam Winner held at the ball, and then a lovely, whether was it well timed, I'm not sure, we haven't seen the replay, but a really good ball over the top. Either way, Matchday gets hold of it. Great first touch, round the goalkeeper, slots it in the back of the net. And that's where the two linked up really, really well. And that's where it did benefit Oxford United like that. But players, I'm going to be honest, it didn't benefit people like Gavin White. I don't think it benefited Cameron Brannigan. I wouldn't say it benefited the fullbacks either, and I'll come on to that in just a second. But as White didn't benefit Cameron Brannigan and Gavin White, and that's because, first of all, Gavin White, you get the best out of Gavin White, in my opinion, on the flank, when he can run at fullbacks, when he can run at players and then cut inside, either have a shot or put a ball into the box and cross the ball in. That's where it benefits the likes of, that's where it definitely hinders Gavin White's performance and doesn't benefit him. And that's when the 4-3-3 does benefit the likes of Gavin White. Whereas for Cameron Brannigan, it didn't benefit him either, really, because he was having to play sort of like a left midfielder because they used their fullbacks. Now, maybe that formation would work if those fullbacks were attacking. I heard this, and the reason I'm not going to pretend like this theory was completely myself. I did hear this actually. On the Wasn't the Game show. I've been on that radio show a few times, BBC Radio Oxford. I've been on it. It was actually Stevie Kidderborough. A really, really good pundit. I really like Stevie. I think he's a fantastic footballing pundit on that radio show. And he was actually saying the same thing as well. And I know you're not going to believe me now I said that, but I was thinking the same as the game was happening. I was like, these fullbacks are getting so far up the pitch, we're getting pinned back. And when you play that, when you play that way, your fullbacks have got to be defensively very, very solid. And I think Seddon certainly is that. But with Anthony Ford, we know he's not a right back. He's been playing right back. He's had to play right back due to the injuries. And he's a very, very good player. Really utility, versatile player that can cover in at right back. And I think Willow would have been the same. I think obviously Williams has been playing there for the last 2 weeks at right back while Anthony Ford's been injured. And he's done a good job going forward. However, I think when Sam Long comes back, and we have no idea the situation with Sam Long, you know, what's going on there. We're hearing no injury update, no situation there. And we need to get that sorted, because I think he'll be a big addition back into this back four. But Anthony Ford, because going forward, he's a very, very good player. Defensively, he's not as good. And then when you use the diamond, and when you haven't got those wingers tracking back and following those runs, it's all down to the fullback to defend. And when you've got a winger/midfielder covering at right back, he's not defensively the most solid fullback. And that's when they got a little bit exposed, because they had wingers as well. So they were using the wingers, and they were using the attacking fullbacks as well. Now, they were using wingers, maybe, at different parts in the game. They were very, very flexible. Bolton were very, very flexible as well. But I've got to be honest and say that even so, you've got to have defensively very, very solid fullback if you're playing that formation, because it's just going to be the fullbacks against the wingers and those attacking fullbacks at bottom. That's where we were left exposed. And then why Cameron Brannigan had to fill in there was because we ended up Cameron Brannigan playing sort of like a left midfielder, and you don't get the best out of Cameron Brannigan as a left midfielder. I did a Q&A, and follow the Instagram, by the way. I follow the Instagram because every time we do away days, I'm going to do sort of like a Q&A, sort of Instagram Q&A really, where you give your questions in, football related, and I just give my thoughts on Instagram. So go and check that out at the Young Fan Podcast on Instagram. Give that a follow, because every away day I'll give my sort of thoughts. I can do a little bit of a Q&A on there. Also, lots of updates on the Instagram. Everything's on there really. So definitely go and follow that. But I'm doing a Q&A, and someone asked me, who's the best player so far this season? Who's been the most influential player? And I said Cameron Brannigan. However, he was not the most influential player, and that's not because of his bad performance. Because I think he was hindered by that formation. He was having to play sort of a left midfielder. It did not suit him very, very well. And that's not his fault. That's not because he's not, I think he did actually a very, very good job in those circumstances. But he wasn't as influential in those areas simply because he was having to track the fullbacks in that sort of very, very narrow midfield. So we ended up playing, I think it suited Sykesy on that right-hand side a little bit better, because, he can play on that right midfield, right wing spot. We've seen him play that for Oxford United before. But for the likes of Cameron Brannigan playing as like a left midfielder, you don't get the best out of Cameron Brannigan. You get the best out of Brannigan in that midfield. He can pick off those passes, whether those are longer balls or short, quick, direct, or maybe even shorter, non-direct passes, and start building up the play with some serious tempo. And that's where you get the best of Cameron Brannigan, not when he's tracking the runs of those players. And the lights I can see on the screen right now, they had the wingers. There was Lloyd Isgrove on that side. He did come off in the second half. And then, was it Aladupo? He got a great name. Offalayan on that left-hand side, he did score the goal. And he got the goal because he got the goal in that. It was a really good effort from him when he shot that. His was the sort of the longer range strike, but still you can see that where it comes from. We were very, very exposed playing this diamond formation. It just didn't really work for Oxford United, and that's where it was a little bit frustrating. They were playing sort of the 4-2-3-1 if you like, and we were sort of playing this diamond formation that was just not really working. I can see it working against certain sides that don't have so much threat going forwards with their fullbacks and with their wingers, but against a team like Bolton, who did offer that, I'm surprised we didn't change that quickly, or maybe done and decided not to do that. However, like it said, it did benefit the like of Samuel and Matty Taylor. Matty Taylor got his first goal of the season, and I'd say his best performance as well. And I'd say Sam Winner had a really good performance as well, and probably got his best performance of the campaign with that. So in that sense, it has benefits, it has losers. Every cloud really. It's one of those, but still, I just think in other situations we could have maybe seen something a little bit different. And with those stats as well, I can see the stats in front of me here. I'll read them out for you. It was a very, very quite close game in the sense that we had more possession. They did have more shots, but we had more big chances than them. We hit the woodwork more times than they did. We had 2 big chances that were missed. If we were a little bit more clinical and we took our chances on another day, that really, really could have been a different scoreline. But like I said at the start, I don't think we can sit here and go, we definitely deserve to win the game, because Bolton didn't look awful. They're a decent side. They got nothing to worry about with relegation. They look a team really to be looking at the top end of the campaign, as I predicted as well. I thought they look a really, really good side. They're currently sat in 7th. We're now sat in 10th. But still, it's not an awful start to the season. You think about it, we beat Charlton, we beat Crewe, a disappointing draw against Cambridge. Now you look at that, and a disappointing first defeat on the road against Bolton yesterday. But even still, I still thought it had its positives, it had its negatives, and I generally thought the Oxford United way of looking at it was we did make a tactical change, we did look good going forward at times, and we did look generally okay defensively. But there were points in the game where maybe on another day things could be different. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, as we always say, and Oxford United on the day do lose this game. And that's my sort of reaction to the game. I thought we did okay. I'd say we did well. Carpenton came out and said it was the best performance of the season. I thought Charlton was probably still the best performance of the season, if I'm being honest. It was better than Crewe, certainly, but anything could be better than Crewe, even though we won the game. I thought it was the second best performance of the season behind Charlton, in my opinion. But that's just my thoughts on it. If you enjoy this sort of content, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. This has been the Young Fan Podcast. Take care, stay safe, and yeah, definitely subscribe because it really helps the growth of the podcast. I've been Jack. It's been the Young Fan Podcast. See you in a bit.